gonna do? I can't tell you, but I shock it too. Say it's your game. Do what you wanna do now. Say, I can't. Holy shnikes, that song just gets better. I love it. I love it. I love it. There we go. Anyway, so welcome to the Rockstar Roadie podcast. I am your host, Daniel ONeil, or as everybody else knows me, Borga. I hate that name, but it is what it is. I have a very special guest today, but before that, you know what I got to do. I got to state the crap for legal reasons. So, to start, I am not a therapist, neither are my guests. So, we only give you our experiences and our solutions to our problems. We're here to listen. We're here to help you answer any questions you have, but we are not licensed medical professionals. Now, me and my guests, probably, I know me, but probably some of my guests see therapists. So we have some experience. Also, 2 rules of the podcast: no religion, no politics. Plain and simple. We don't talk about it. It's just one of those things where you just don't do it. With that being said, my guest this week, what is this, episode 10, is a old dear friend who I actually pretty much started in the business with, driving around New York in a van with Law and Order's gear. And he just realized after a pre-show sound check here that I was only 16 when I worked with him. So he didn't know how old I was because I wasn't even legal to drive. But we were, schlepping around New York City, humping gear and doing shit together. So with that being said, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Mike Arata.
Howdy ho, everybody.
No.
No, please. Come on.
What's going on, brother?
Nothing, man. Just sitting here talking to an old friend that I have not spoken to in too long because, you have more of a life than I do these days. But
oh, what are you kidding me? You're retired. I'm semi-retired. What the hell?
It's a good place to be able to reach, as you know.
But you sent me a picture of us a few years ago, which we'll talk. Well, fuck it, we'll do it right now. But this picture.
Oh, look at it. There you go. That's one of my favorite. TC.
It's one of my favorites too. Obviously we're missing our brother Todd Confessori, which sucks ass. But we have Mr. Mark Gus Scott from Trickster in there. But here's the funny part. I did not realize until I looked at this picture today that that's Chris Cafferty.
Seriously?
I swear to God, because my brain,
Muppet, as we used to call him,
my brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't. My brain is not wired to work that way. And I've worked with Chris Cafferty for the last 3 years at TSO, and we did Sabotage together. And I'm like,
lucky. I wish I caught.
I'm gonna send him this picture so we can laugh at it. But
I've seen him on. We're Facebook friends again. But I mean, that's all. It goes back to Studio One and the old Jersey connection in New York.
Studio One, the good old days, humping gear up 3 flights of stairs, which is why I have no knees or hips left.
Why I am retired early at this point, because
I remember one time, I forget who we were loading in, but I had, and that's when I actually had some muscle and could lift things. I had, oh my God, what is that? Oh, God
yeah,
damn.
don't.
I had 2 Marshall cabinet straights like this going up 3 flights of stairs.
All right. Well, you talk about the age thing, right? I'm a little older than you. I'll be 59 in December. But I came up right when in Jersey, the drinking age was 18. Growing up, the drinking age is 18. You're 17. Oh, it's going to be 18. Not like we didn't drink before, but all right. Then my group, whatever you want to call it, the drinking age became 18. Look, just before that, no. We're going to raise it to 19. Fuck, come on now. Then all of a sudden you approach 19. Yeah, you know what? Wait a minute. 21. It's like, go fuck yourself.
I remember that because I was 16 and I'm like, motherfucker, what the hell?
At least, I mean, literally right when I was at the cusp of each one, that's when they pulled the rug. And I figured, you know what? I was big enough and started early. I started working best 86. After high school, I really picked up and started working with local bands. But, if you're carrying a Marshall over your shoulder, they don't have time to check your ID. Nope. And, it kind of worked out until I passed the past the age there. It didn't fucking matter. So
Well, what's funny is you especially at Studio One, it's like they see you walking in with gear, you never got carded the rest of the night.
yeah, exactly. They, that place. We did a lot of sketchy shit there, and
That's the
especially me,
yeah, dude.
I was the de facto pyro guy for the scene
I know.
because I liked pyro. And back then, you can go to Ken's Magic, in Paramus and stuff like that, and get flash powder. So it was before
Can't
the
do that
internet.
shit nowadays.
No, you cannot. And shit, I'll tell you, I'll get to that story on the pyro end. But yeah, I think the last time two stories. I did pyro. I think you were there with Trickster. It was
Yep.
Trickster and Myth who I was working for. I had a rig made up of like tuna fish cans.
I know.
Wood. Yeah, all right. On a piece of wood. We're getting to the same story. I'm glad you remember it too. So my band Myth, Dave Cintron was the guitar player. He had no legs below the knee. It was a 3-piece band. Okay.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you were there. I mean, it was part of this. You were definitely there.
I was drunk 90% of the time.
Okay, you may have had a little more issue than I did. It wasn't like he had prosthetics and he would walk around like that after the show. You'd barely be able to tell. He had a little, weirdness to his gait, but he couldn't concentrate on his playing and stand on the prosthetics at the same time. So he took his legs off, and we built him a little platform to play on out of milk crates. I was the king of the milk crate risers back then.
Yeah, you were.
We had this whole design made up. So I had a 3-piece band.
I've seen by you.
Yeah, and I started with pyro because I had a 3-piece band. Drummer, obviously where he is. Bass player, singer, tied to the microphone. None of this fucking hello customer service microphones back then. And a guy that literally couldn't, but used to stay on the riser. So we started to build stage sets and screens, and then pyro, and I ended up doing lights, and that was my career path until I bumped into the Man of War guys, and all of a sudden
the boys, Joey DeMeo and his loincloth. Visual I can never get out of my head.
Yeah, well, you try it from backstage for fucking a couple of years and see what happens. It's not fun. No. But that changed my career from running lights to backline once they found out, you work for Joey. Like, okay.
Yeah. So, going back in the years, and obviously, so you've watched episodes of this podcast. It's totally off the cuff. I have some questions I'll ask, but those questions really come into the realm of mental health because I know you know me. We've been through some shit. We've had friends go through some shit. We've lost some friends who have been through shit. So coming to that, when we do, and it fades in and out during the podcast, it'll go between road questions and mental health questions. But I want everything to be off the cuff because it doesn't need to be structured. Again, you brought it up earlier. If this thing ever becomes monetized and they want commercial breaks, well, we're going to have a fight because I'm the boss and nobody tells me what to do.
You get an editor. That's all.
Yeah. I am my editor. But so going back in the day when we were young, we did Law and Order together. And remind me now, the band was in Staten Island, so we used to have to go up into the attic to get there.
It was another set of stairs. The bane of my career is fucking stairs. But
and we had to bring that freaking bass rack up and down.
Here's the problem. They were at least one of the first bands that I worked with that was local yet were signed.
Right.
So they had gotten their advance money and they built all these wonderful, beautiful cases, bass rack, amp and put them in a fucking attic, SVTs and cases coming down and big amp racks and, beautiful stuff back then. It was very impressive, but it added, 100 pounds to every fucking rig. And,
the bass rack was taller than me.
Yeah, that was a big one.
It was like a 48 big rack. Bass rack that weighed a ton, and it was just you and me carrying it down the stairs.
Yeah, that's all you could fit.
5 o'clock in the morning, back up the stairs, and we used to do the Limelight, all that shit,
and then drive back to Jersey. It sucked. It totally sucked, but
it sucked. But at least they paid us.
Yeah, no, that was that was one of the better gigs.
It
Was
was
sort of,
because they actually had the money and knew the people's worth.
and
What
they
was
were a great band. Great band.
I love. We did that show at the Limelight. I remember. I remember we did the show at the Limelight, and I can't remember the singer's name. I think the bass player was Shane or
Sean.
Sean. Sean. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember the singer was out there that night. Well, we won't say why. But I remember he lit himself on fire. Remember his pirate shirt? He lit the edge of it on fire, and he stood there like this for about
Wow.
10 seconds, and then he went, "Oh."
I don't quite remember that one,
No,
but
I was busy
and
looking at the girls over at the bar.
yeah, no, I was fucking missed the Limelight.
I know that was one of the best. You go up into the catacombs and just the
Oh
shit
my
that was.
god.
You knew right where to go when you
All
needed
right.
something.
My best and one of my best stories, like one of the most creative ways out of a situation I ever had to do, and I felt really bad for it. I was with Girls School,
Wow,
1993.
nice.
I don't even know how I got these gigs, like either SST or whatever, but my name kept popping up. I guess I'm not as much of an asshole as I thought I
Mine
was.
was the same
But
way.
yeah, I
I
mean, you can't track my career. It's just stepping in shit, knowing the right people, having the right weed, and just being able to schmooze and being available.
yeah,
At the time, having no family, no kids at the time in Jersey. I lived at home. I was the guy you can call at 5 a.m.
yep,
Go pick up Easy O on the side of the Jersey Turnpike. Well, why? Bobby Johnson's coming back with him. Just go get a van, go pick them up. Get there, and the motorhome's on fire.
nice.
Burnt down to the chassis. But that was it. I didn't have to, check with the dog or check with the
Right.
wife or the kids. I was the go-to, and that got me a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell anybody these days, especially now, you got a fucking cell phone. Back then you had to be home. You kept your
Yeah.
phone on. Maybe you check your messages, but if you have a cell phone and you're in this business and it's ever off, you're insane.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I mean, if you have the luxury, if you have the kind of gig and the career that you don't need to be, constantly on call or on the hunt for a gig, great. But if you're hustling, if you're on the bounce, there's no
Yeah.
there's no off.
No,
You know?
100% agree. I mean, yeah, back then,
So,
even you and I started, it was pre-beeper. You had
yeah.
to check your messages, or you had to have
Listen,
an answer machine that you could call in with a code from a payphone. Folks,
yeah.
payphones are a thing where you put money in it
Money in the sun.
and dial the number.
And money coins are these things that the government gives you that you put into things and get things back, not like punching buttons.
Or do you remember when that fad came out and a bunch of us found out, and you get those little brown things from Radio Shack, and it was a number. It was a number dialer that you didn't have to. Folks, you can't do that no more.
All right.
Because there's no payphones.
Well, put it this way, I was the last person to let go of the beeper that wasn't actively dealing cocaine in the tri-state area, because I had an 800 number. Right, anybody in the world can call me. I could decide whether to call them back. I had that well into the 90s in cell phones because I was either home or I was at work. At work, I had a phone on stage they stupidly never blocked the long distance, so that was just call anybody you want.
Nice.
And then finally they stopped using that. Finally, they're like, you're gonna have to get a fucking cell phone, asshole. We're not doing beepers anymore. So I got a basic Kyocera. I held on to that motherfucker well past the point of iPhones until the job made me get one. Again, I can text with one hand, and I like to talk to people. That's all. I don't need these apps. I don't need nothing.
No.
And then finally, the casino. I worked for Foxwoods for 25 years. They wanted me to get one to keep me on the tether. I'm like, you want it? You pay for it. I don't need it. I'm fine. And then of course during the pandemic, they decided to shut down the old phones. You can't use that anymore, and blah blah blah. And so now I'm fully immersed, and I can't go anywhere without fucking using Waze. And like everybody else,
I know I'm the same way. What's
I
funny
used to be able to drive someplace in the daytime. If someone told me where to go, I would know that route for the rest of my life. But now
like you with cell phones, it took me years to start using GPS. I still had a Atlas book, the laminated pages. And I used that, and I fought.
Every year I bought one.
Yes. Every year you bought a new one. And
have you got one recently?
No.
Okay. The print, my eyes are so old, and the print is so fucking small. It's not like the nice laminated way. I hate it. I got one, but I can't use it. And you know what I figured? There's 50 fucking satellites in the sky. They know where the traffic is.
Yeah.
They tell you where cops are. That whole great would that been in the old days.
Dude,
Come
my
on
daughter
now.
turned me on the ways, and it's funny.
Come
So
on now.
it's funny. I grew up in Richfield, New Jersey.
Yes, you
So
did.
I have not been there since 94. I haven't lived there since 94.
Yeah.
I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for 13 years. I still needed to use GPS. I live in freaking Long Beach, Mississippi now. It's easier, but I can go back to Jersey right now and never use a GPS.
For the most part, yeah. And
It's the
it's
weird thing.
always
I remember everything. Like
it's
even
always
going
had to get to a club, you know.
going to a club, or I took my wife back to Jersey many years ago. I think it was for PJ and Jill's wedding reception, and I took her up 80 so she could see the Abbott and Costello Castle where all the movies are filmed. She's like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, way." I'm like, "This is like the Abbott and Costello on the side of the mountain. That's where Lou Abbott was. It? Yeah, Lou Abbott.
Like Garrett Mountain?
No, it was Costello.
No.
Costello lived and owned that
Well, from
castle.
Patterson, yeah.
Now his daughter owns it. But I took her up 80 and I remembered right where to fucking go.
Yeah.
You know, I remember where, all the rehearsal places, what was that one band?
God.
I'm not even going to try and remember. They had that underage song that, you would know it if you heard it. But anyway, Cleavage.
Yeah, I managed them for a while.
Yeah, I remember where that rehearsal place. So it's like I remember where everything is.
God.
Even in Jersey City, I remember the cemetery. I
like
know right
Lodi.
where to go.
Yeah.
I know right where to go to the cemetery in Jersey City where my grandparents are buried. It's just like I know in North Bergen where my dad and my grandmother are buried. So it's like you remember that stuff. But now Waze, awesome, because that's the one thing I use it for. Where's the cops?
But you know what I always wondered? Like, we know the cops are there because we're on Waze. Why aren't they on their phone going, "No, we're not"?
Yeah, I haven't figured that part out yet.
Canceling it out, I guess.
But it works every time.
Love it.
Anyway, so let's get back to. Let's talk about another picture that I had. First off, I got to show this picture.
Viggy.
The Viggy.
My boy.
We all grew up together. I missed that stupid son of a bitch.
That was
and his corny jokes.
I forget what he was on. I was at Foxwoods, and he came in, and that was one of the things I missed. Like we talked beforehand, I just saw a friend, Danny Miranda, yesterday. He's in town with the Meatloaf. His last band goes out and does a tribute.
Oh yeah, Paul's doing that.
Yeah, exactly, Paul Cook, and John Maselli, and of course Danny Miranda, all the Long Island connection guys there. But I said, and he's like, "Oh, thank you so much," because they're in the parking lot at Mohegan Sun. They got hours to kill before, when the bus driver sleeps before they got to head out. I'm like, "Well, I'll pick you up. I'll bring you in the Mystic. You don't want to walk around the casino. You've done that a million times, when you're staying there." It's like, go down. We had a nice dinner, and he met my girlfriend. We came back to my place, and it was really cool to do that because that's how I'm going to interact with my friends from now on. I try to keep track of who's on tour, who maybe has a night off in the area. I'll get in the van. I'll go visit, and we're talking about Doogie, Kevin Dugan, one of the king of the roadies there, and he was playing with Sammy Hagar up at the old Great Woods. I don't know what they call it now, but the first time I walk into a venue in the 80s, that's what it's going to be.
Dude, it's like the arena it's like the arena in Jersey. It's always going to be the Brendan Byrne Arena to me.
Yeah, or the metal. We just call it the metal.
All that bullshit. It's the Brendan Byrne Arena. Shut up.
You know what? That's the biggest piss me off. Why I will never step foot in Foxwoods again. Fox Theater. The third casino in the world out of Atlantic City and Reno and Vegas. The Fox Theater. Okay, it's not the Fox Theater from Detroit and all these famous places that we've been to.
Fox
but
Theater
it made
Atlanta.
sense. Yeah, it made sense, and they got away with it. It's Southern Land, whatever. But we opened that joint up. It opened up a few months before I came in with Frank Sinatra.
Nice.
I mean, there's a plaque on the place, and we had all these backstage doors that we had autographed, and we put them out in display cases, whatever. So after the pandemic, I left, and they've changed the name for no reason. If you're going to get millions of dollars for naming rights, great. I could see in the economy, do what you got to do.
Right.
You're a fucking casino. First off, that would be embarrassing to even have Coca-Cola fucking, showroom or whatever. But they changed it to this innocuous name that is called Great Cedar now. It means nothing to nobody, Yeah. So why? What corporate decision sat down and let's erase 30 years of history, for that bullshit name that means nothing to nobody. So for that reason, I took my girlfriend for a birthday dinner to have a Hell's Kitchen there, and I had to walk past the old theater row, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting fucking just stressed out. I want to choke somebody. I don't
Yeah.
like this anymore.
Well,
I'm
here's a
not
little
going
tidbit
back.
for you.
So,
Back in the 90s, I did Nancy Sinatra's Boots Are Made for Walking tour after
awesome.
she did the Playboy issue, and Frank was with us. So that was really, really cool because we did a month in casino, like well, no, we did 2 weeks in
Yeah.
casinos all over the world. And she was
Wow.
awesome. And Frank was there. He was awesome. Uncle Tony, a whole bunch of guys were there. So
The
and
whole, I mean, Hank Catania. We're talking
I,
legends in the
I
business, you
never
know.
made so much cash in
Yeah,
my
right.
life than I
The
walked
old
away from
days.
that tour with my own duffel bag because everything was
Yeah.
cash. I'm like, oh, this will
And
never happen again.
you're talking, forget about even like working the shows because they're at the end of the cycle. We did Sinatra way too long. You know, he was out there a little too long. He was forgetting the lyrics
Yeah,
to
he
My
was he
Way.
was fading
It
when
was,
we were
but he
out.
wanted to. He totally wanted to. But I mean, you know, we got, and it was half in jest, but we got told, you know, if Mr. Sinatra talks to you, you know, you can, you know, say hello, none of this, you know, avert your eyes stuff, but you don't want to get into a prolonged conversation with him, you
Dude, we
know.
talked
And
all
that,
the time.
well, but the reason was is like he could tell you who killed Kennedy, and then you're going to be next.
Yeah.
So you might want to just move it along. But the best guy for that was Tony Opasado.
Tony.
He was Tony O. He came in with more with Rickles, over the years because Sinatra, passed on early. But we would just sit backstage and he'd tell the war stories.
Yeah.
And he's done some podcasting. I've listened to it. It's just amazing. He had a book he put out, but he didn't do the audio for it, which I hate. If you're going to do an audio book, I want, especially a person I know,
Yeah.
you want to hear them tell it, not some chat GPT shit. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was still, the stories are still there that at the time that is lost to us.
Well, when Frank was with us with Nancy, you could see the decline, and it was
Oh
sad.
yeah,
But he was always a great hang between shows because you do 2 a day. You go hang
yeah.
out, and they throw you a couple,
Oh, that's
couple
awesome.
$100 bills and say go get some food, whatnot. But I'm getting paid already, so I get a paycheck
Yeah.
and I'm getting cash. Okay, fine.
No, that's a lot closer to the inner family. We were always, because
Yeah,
of our corporate overlords at the casino, don't do this shit. And like, I would get that stuff when acts would come in. It's like, that's my fucking brother.
yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about your, don't fraternize bullshit. That's a fucking friend. We're going to go in my office and we're going to fucking hang out and, whatever. So.
No, trust me, I get it. So let's look at this picture because there's some familiar faces in this one.
I mean, well, there you go. Don't count that the Annie is hanging up the local Hell's Angels thing upside down.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I toured with Annie for a long time.
Yeah.
Annie and I
to her a
did
couple of
Rob
weeks ago,
Thomas
yeah.
and Matchbox 20 together.
Yeah.
So and we did Orianti together. Annie's great. I love Annie. She's completely out of her mind. She's the funniest fucking person I know. And she's just like a ball of energy that you cannot stop. I'm like, how do you do this?
She's one that I wish was on Facebook more to interact with because it's always tough. She lives in, an hour and a half away from me, but we don't really get to see each other. I try every time I'm like in that area, I give her a call and she doesn't really want to go out and hang. She's pretty isolated these days, but still good. So that was, God, I can't remember 15 years ago at my house. Cause you could tell my decorating style back then was, whatever rock club, oxblood red walls with orange and black trim. And
well, I mean, you're from the Ritz crew, dude. You're from the Ritz crew.
That's it. And that sign was from 54th Street.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last night we did was, let's see my memory.
That was on the back door.
August 23rd, 1993 was Leslie Weston Mountain and Jolene Turner. And
now that's a bill.
God,
that is a bill.
That was the last official show at any place bannered as the Ritz, I guess, until they did that retro thing at Webster Hall for Guns N' Roses. But so that was on the backstage wall. Now you have a bunch of guys that have been there, and that's what I really miss about it. Studio One, we had, 6, 7, whatever guys, we call it extra guys, but there was a core crew that always worked there.
Yep.
The Ritz, we maybe had a dozen people on a good day as the regular crew. And that crew tipped the fucking trucks, got it on deck, on case, everything, blah, 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 set it up. And then they would break into, okay, Bubbles, Mitch Keller, he goes do lights. And you got Charlie Martin and his crew. He didn't tip the trucks, but, the front of house guys, the always hierarchy. And
Well,
Bruce
let me ask you a
McDonough
quick
there.
question. Let me interrupt
Okay.
you real quick. So the guy
Yeah.
to the right of Annie,
Yes.
who is that?
Directly to the right underneath the sign?
No, directly the other way, underneath
where it gets later. That's the other bald guy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's John Revito, Hammer.
That's right, Hammer.
Now, he was an SST guy. He used to go by Hawk back then, but Bruce McDonough retagged him as Hammer because of the Hammerhead. He had a mohawk back in the day. And so that was a gathering. Bruce was about to head out to Vegas. He worked with me at Foxwoods for a while. He went out to go visit and go be with Brian Taylor. They were both opening up the Palms at the time. Brian was head of audio, and Bruce is going to be the stage manager. And after I think a year or two, if that, they kind of restructured and got rid of them both. So that kind of sucked.
Right.
But it got him out there for a little bit. And of course, you got Big Steve, rest in peace, and Jeff Windewer, who I still see.
Now, who's the guy directly next to Annie on the other side?
That's Jeff Windewer. He was sort of my mentor.
Yeah, I know him.
We both lived in Wayne. Yeah, we used to run Mothers together. Suntan Lake. He was the head of the crew chief at Suntan Lake, but he was more an audio guy for the club, like a generation before us.
Right.
The original Mothers. I was part of that crew with him back when it reopened in the, I guess, late 80s, early 90s before I left town. But he was like part of the original team and all the local Jersey, bands back then, North Jersey,
Right.
Then see how he works at Mask Sound.
Okay.
Doing audio.
Yeah, he just looked familiar when you sent me that picture. I'm like, he looks so familiar.
Yeah, you definitely know him, but he's like the guy, because of him, I got all this shit behind me and guitar picks and stuff, because he would be the generation. And he had all the, I said, that's so fucking cool. So from like day one, I started picking shit up off the stage, figuring it would be the Roadie retirement fund one day,
Yeah.
What was that one?
That
and,
one. That one.
These nuts.
I want one of those.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny? What do you mean?
Yeah. I'll set you up. You did.
Yeah,
These things are great if you get into podcasts.
I'm gonna buy one. I forget podcasts just for shits and giggles. It's all good.
Right.
I don't think
I sampled my chickens.
Oh, thank God, it was chickens.
Yeah, that's gonna piss a lot of people off, and I don't care because I got like 8 more chickens too. There he is. I need that. That has to go on tour with me for TSO this year.
I will send you one. I have an abundance. I have spares. I have taken Ed around the world.
What's that?
You got to pull it. You got to pull an Ed Grimley quote. We're doomed.
Okay.
That stuff.
All right. So let's look at this picture. Now, this one hits a little home for me.
Boy.
This one hits a little home.
Ooh, yes, that one hits very home. That was at lovely Dingbats.
Yes, I know Dingbats very well.
In Clifton, New Jersey, who I used to, before I moved to Wayne, I lived like 5 blocks from Dingbats. That would.
Well, what's funny is the one guy all the way to the left with the gray beard, that is Panther. And Panther, like you, I have known pretty much my entire teenage to now life.
Another Studio One alumni, along with Rosario, who fucking missed that son of a bitch.
That I did not see coming, man. That one hurt because that's part of the old guard. That's like you and me.
And because he didn't have a lot of our bad habits. He didn't drink.
No,
he didn't do weed. He didn't do any drugs. He was the most straight motherfucker that I met. Even back then. And he's along with Brian Taylor, for getting me up to Foxwoods, Bruce McDonough for being at the Ritz, Jeff for being.
Oh, I got a story about Brian Taylor.
Yeah, we all do. But Rosie, we went to the same high school, different years. We, connected during the Studio One scene, but he's the one that got me over to SST. Hey, we need help, blah, blah, blah. I had a van at the time. That was really what got me in the career. But
That's all you needed. You
yeah.
needed a van, and you had a gig.
A van and friends, I mean,
Yeah.
I told my mother how much she lamented my early career. I said, it's your fault. For some reason, a housefrau from New Jersey decided to buy a 75 Ford Econoline for no reason.
Yeah.
We weren't like, treating people around. She wanted to go on little adventures, and like that became my first vehicle. So I had a van, and I had friends in the music. Hey, I'll haul the gear, and then I learned to do lights and blah 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 blah. And
Well,
that
that's
was
just
the
it
beginning of
about
a career.
Jersey. A lot of people don't understand because everyone goes, "Oh, it's Jersey." You don't understand. It's like Jersey, Long Island, Jersey, New York, Long Island, Staten
Yeah.
Island. The music scene was huge.
Back then, and right until pretty much when I left in '94, it all seemed to die around '93 too, because the Ritz shut down in New York. I'm not sure when the Cat Club left, but a lot of places started shutting down. It was also back when.
Hey.
Oh, that better not be coming through. I'm sorry, it's on the song. Hang on.
Just fucking dandy.
My bad. I'm shutting my phone off. Fuck, turn it off. Can you hear that?
It's just fucking dandy.
Oh shit!
It's not coming through. I just hear the ringer.
Hey, I gotta call you back. Bye.
Turn your freak.
Sorry.
I know it's not a flip phone, but turn.
I lost you.
Anyway,
hang on.
So yeah,
I'm
we
not
had
good at this stuff, Danny.
I know.
I really suck at it. Okay, why can't I hear you now? Now I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think
Back to
people
our
realize
regular
between North Jersey and South Jersey, the Bon Jovi, Skid Row, all that shit. Then North Jersey, you had pretty much, Cleavage, Trickster. I mean, everybody else.
SS Steel.
I worked for pretty much all those bands.
We all did. We were very. And
then you go over a bridge to New York, and then you got Staten Island and Long Island. We worked for all those bands.
Well, you know what, and the hub was Studio One, really, because the best bands.
And the hub was Studio One, China Club, Billy O's.
China Club was a little later, from what I remember. I don't remember Billy O's at all. I don't know if I ever made it there. If it did, what town was that in?
That was Staten Island. We used to play there with SS Steel and Prisoner all the time.
No, the only place I ever did on Staten Island, I think, was On Stage.
Okay, yeah.
Because we had Bobby Johnson was over there.
But I mean, we all worked at Studio One at one point in time in our careers.
Yeah.
We all did. Me, you, Rosario, fuck Pete Tertia.
It was a rite of passage. I understand.
I still wonder whatever happened to him.
I mean, I was just going down the rabbit hole yesterday on the studio. Somehow I got involved to be the administrator of like the Ritz page and the Studio One page, which I'm happy to do. But someone was going down the Tertia rabbit hole, and it's like he retired in Florida. It's like, hey,
who'd he steal money from?
Ouch.
But, hey, you want me to freaking sit here and lie to son of a bitch? Try to steal my girlfriend.
Well, that he was known for, but hey, for some reason he never stole money from me or did not pay me. I think.
You're a little bigger than me, and he was a little squirrely bastard. He got so scared of me one night at Studio One, they locked me in. They told me I was looking for him to get paid, and he wouldn't pay my band. Runaway.
Well, that was his famous thing. While the band's on stage, he'd be bum rushing and not pay you beforehand. Oh, I got to wait. Blah, blah, blah. And then he'd leave during your set.
Yeah. But he also told the bouncers, hey, if he comes looking for me, send him to me in my office, which was in the cloakroom right off the front door there.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and the bouncer locked me in until Tertia got out of the building because he was so afraid I was going to kill him.
Oh,
I was going to beat the shit out of him. I wasn't a little boy back then.
No, I mean, and we had backup.
Yes,
it wasn't, and I mean, it made no sense to that because we were filling the rooms. Our bands that we were working for were filling the fucking room, so it made sense to keep them happy, And then the whole TRX thing back in the day, remember that?
No.
You don't remember? Oh, come on now.
I probably do. There's a lot of shit I blocked out or don't remember.
We don't remember the sort of unionization of the local bands, sort of against Tertia.
I heard about something. I think I was on tour with Trickster on the Scorpions when that started.
Well, no, this was pre-signing. This was a pretty blatant move TRX. What do you think TRX stood for? Trickster. It was Joe, I think his name was, and Brian. They were like weird, couldn't tell whether they were father and son or something weird was going on. But it was before Trickster got signed. So it was either like 89, 90. It was basically a way to unionize against like Tertia, from what I remember, or those kind of practices, the pay per play thing. And, they would centralize book the main circuit bands.
Right.
And make sure they got good bookings. But basically what it was, whether people knew it or not, it seemed to be a way to make sure Trickster got the showcase shows to put them. Okay, everybody else is working, so it worked out fine. But it was basically to elevate them to get them into a contract. And this had to be, I'm not sure when Ken Mako came along and all that. So it had to be before that, I guess. But they were definitely involved because TRX was Trickster, Tricks.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, I could have sworn you were around for that, but that was
because I know when my bands, because I was in Masquerade, I was in Runaway, and there was another band I was in, I can't remember, but we always had here's your allotment of tickets, go sell your tickets, or it's like, shut up. It's just,
I mean, you did that until you develop a scene, and then it's, hey, you pay us or we'll work the door or whatever. I mean, but Tertia was decent enough to me. He was starting to book Club Benet for a while, and I would stage manage for him there, so, I mean, we're all working, but I mean, besides from I was thinking about this the other day too, that besides from all the musicians, I mean, Steve Brown's great success, amazing that he's doing the Def Leppard thing. Sorry that Vivian, gets ill, but I mean that's amazing, that he's up at that level where he should be. He's an amazing player.
Oh yeah, and look at PJ and Fozzy,
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's less of a hugely known name, but very big in the thing, and he's done great. Hey, if you can make a living at it, that's the most amazing thing. And
he's going to be on the podcast in a couple days. We're doing a recording.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Well, that one we're opening up Pandora's box of stories that are.
Yeah, you guys are. You guys are way closer and been in touch, I'm thankful for Facebook and stuff for getting us all back into it. People hate it. I'm not going on there. It's like, I don't want them to know my shit. It's like, do you have a credit card? Do you exist in this earth? They got your fucking number.
You have a cell phone. You're done.
Exactly. So just give up that shit. You don't want to, I'm glad you don't have this time to waste that I do, but
so let's talk about this one. This one is a classic photo, and the reason is I know a few of the guys, but the one that stood out was Brian.
Well, Brian was not in that photo. Brian is photoshopped in by a good friend of mine.
Oh no shit!
I don't think he's that much taller than me. He's a big motherfucker.
He's tall.
No, we were. I can't remember the year. There's a lot of great faces in there. That was, I think we were going to try to meet up at Manitoba's, but we couldn't, it was closed or whatever. That was a Ritz Crew reunion in the early 2000s or something like that. But
what's funny about Brian was my monitor engineer and my roommate on Modern English.
Yes. Ooh.
And he is not a good influence on people because I was young.
Back then, no.
Because the tour manager, rest his soul, Scal Lorette, he never asked me my age, hired me straight out of a rehearsal studio. I think it was Elmwood Park or something like that. I don't remember. I worked in the studio for a couple of weeks, and Modern English came in, and then they like, hey, you want to go on a road with us? And I was like, well, my mom and I were my little sister they were desperate for money. So she let me quit school and go out on tour. And here I am, Brian is my roommate. I'm going in and out of Canada back then and never once got asked for ID. I mean, that was back in the day when you can freely travel. And he was not, I love him. I still talk to him to this day. And I'm going to have him on the podcast. But he taught me some really bad habits.
Yeah, no, Brian pretty much saved my life when he called me to come up. We knew each other from Studio
He's a
One.
Sweetheart, but let's be clear.
He's a killer too. But he's back in those days. Yeah, he's a fucking animal, and I loved him for it. But we knew each other from the SST. He was hanging out there. I can't remember this one guy. I remember the day I probably met him vividly, sitting underneath the bridge across from SST on the back of somebody's Buick or something. And there was another cat there who ended up, being sort of a let's say supplier of
Stuff.
extracurricular stuff. And they were hanging out there, and that's when I met him. And then we ended up working together, at the Ritz. He was monitors, I was, just a general all-around crew guy there. And yeah, we just became brothers. And him and his girlfriend at the time, we were like, a little family with Big Steve and all these, we'd get into some shenanigans. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh yeah.
And then 93, when the Ritz shut down, I picked up a pickup gig with the Cro-Mags, and coming back from Vermont, hit some black ice and rolled the van 3.5 times. I ended up on my side without a scratch. I'm
Damn.
like, I'm not wearing a seatbelt. Now, figure this. The singer's in the front seat wearing a seatbelt. There's a guy on the floor, a guy in a bench seat, a guy on the floor, a guy in a bench seat, a little bit of gear in the back.
Oh, I got one for you, but go ahead.
And a hanger-on, one of their friends was helping out in the back with what little gear. So we're like rolling. I hit the black ice. I'm starting to go towards the median. And I'm like, guys, wake up. It's like 4 a.m, and all of a sudden it starts sliding back the other way. And I'm looking at the fucking side of a mountain. And I'm like, all right, well, this has been fun. I'm going to eat the fucking steering wheel. And that's going to be it. I'm going to die in the fucking middle of the Taconic Parkway somewhere. It's been fun. And all of a sudden we hit the grass and it just started fucking rolling and rolling. I'm like, oh shit. And like, I wasn't being punctured. I had no seatbelt on. I walked out without a fucking scratch, crawled out.
What's a seatbelt back then?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was just, and then this little fucking bitch fucking state trooper comes up as we're sitting there at the side of the wreckage. I'm trying to get everybody sorted out and everything. If I were to push you, would you be able to stop yourself? I'm like, yeah, no, I know that now, bitch. But
Well, here's a funny one. So you remember the band Nonfiction, right? Jersey staple.
Yeah,
that's my boys. And so they called me up one day. I just got back from Modern English, and they're like, "Hey, we need a roadie." Okay, cool. What do we got? Van tour across the United States. Oh boy. Not gonna go well. It's gonna be nothing but so same situation. You got me and someone in the passenger seat. Normally it was Dan Lorenzo because he hated being in the back and he couldn't lay down. he's the prince of he's the prince of vampires there. And then you had Kevin Bolin back, Alan Tecchio. And then I love Alan Tecchio. I talked to him a couple weeks ago. I'm supposed to do an interview with him for his movie. Then Mikey, I can't remember his last name, but Mikey was a drummer. And it was just constant hilarity. But same situation as you. We're driving after a show in Texas. We just did a show at Dangerous Toys at some club. And Jason McMasters was just, he was on fire. So we didn't get out of there till late. Because the guys wanted to hang. So we're driving in Texas. I'm driving after working all day, go figure. Coming up over a hill. I see flashing lights on the other side. So to me, that normally means cop ahead, slow down. So just as I started to slow down, I hit black ice.
Yeah.
And we didn't flip, but we did a fucking spin. That was
epic. Those are fun.
Was epic. And I swear to God, I think I broke the steering wheel. I held onto it so hard and ended up on the shoulder on the right-hand side. And I couldn't move. I was like literally frozen in permanent fear going, I fucking hate you guys.
Yeah.
You're not paying. The first, second words out of my mouth, you're not paying me enough for this shit.
All right.
And then you're all like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. And then we see another car come over the hill and friggin' lose it. And that dumbass, because my dad taught me, you hit ice, take your feet off all the pedals.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy said, no, I'm going to hit the brakes, which made it worse for him. He wound up in the median on like the other side of the road. And they're like, oh, okay, we got it. So we get back in the van. I'm doing like 2 miles an hour on the median with my hazards on. There's got to be a gas station somewhere. And I am not letting go. I'm just like, we're going to pull over on flat surface. and Lorenzo, Lorenzo's Dan's like, oh, like, dude, just shut up. Just shut
But
up.
that was my last van gig, and
Mine too.
I didn't want my touring career, because I mean that's really I said, you know what, I've had it. I'm gonna go get a straight job. I said, I hadn't done anything other than the music business from 1989 to 93 at that point, but I mean nothing. I said, if I'm gonna commit to this, I'm not gonna get a job pumping gas. I'm not gonna do roofing. I'm not gonna whatever.
Right.
Like, this is it. I was sitting by the phone, making calls, waiting for the phone to ring. If I had, if I didn't have a gig, I wasn't making any money. So every time I put gas in the tank, where's the money coming from? So
Exactly.
you just wait. But that was it. You move along that way. But that gig was an SST gig. Specifically, you remember Steve Apria?
Yeah.
Okay. That little fucker already still owes me $100. But so basically it was like, yeah. So that was because that gig, I didn't know the Cro-Mags from shit. I wasn't, much into punk back then beyond the Ramones and the Damned maybe, but I knew they existed. But anyway, apparently the band owed SST money and they had to go out and work, to get it back. I knew Apria through Gabe Firamasca and Dan Dave, all those guys, the SOU
My boys,
crew.
I still talk to them.
Exactly. Me too. I'm going to see Dan in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Oh, give him a hug for me.
I will. But so I was like, okay, well, Mike, you let him do it and he'll make sure we get paid and all that shit. So go out and do it. Now the accident happens. We're in the middle of, I don't know, up to Taconic, someplace in upstate New York. I have to, of course, now I'm still, got to get everybody safe. I got to get people to the hospital that need to get checked out. I got to get people to a train station to get them back to Staten Island. I got to get everything back. Then I get a rental van, bring the gear back to Staten Island, unload, come back the next day with an SST van to get the gear out of the van, do my due diligence, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden the phone, I'm saying, hey, I still got to get paid, have a little something for the effort there, and, wasn't picking up the phone, all this shit. And, years go by. That was 93. By 94, I'm up in Connecticut at Foxwoods. I got a steady gig. Fuck you. I don't need it. But I said, if I ever see this motherfucker again. So 2001, we're at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Hammerstein.
Okay. Hammerstein. One of my best friends is Oscar Hammerstein's grandson. So he's
nice.
So do you get a piece of the action? It's like, nah, sorry, but all right, well, but he's doing okay. Anyway, Bruce McDonough from the Ritz in that other picture there, he's talking to somebody, and I'm kind of looking over his shoulder. And I'm looking this motherfucker up and down. I'm going, hey, looks familiar, man. And they're done talking, and Bruce comes around. I was like, what was that guy's name? He's like, I don't know, Steve something. I go, Apria. I fucking turn around, I grab him by the throat, I put him up against the wall, and I go, hi, motherfucker, remember me? Now we were there. It was 2001. It was the first posthumous Joey Ramone birthday bash, very first one. So this guy pulls the one card out of the deck that saved me from bringing him out on the street and shaking him down for every quarter in his fucking pocket. He's like, oh man, we're here for Joey and blah, blah, blah. And, it's like, I was a guest of Arturo, so it's like, I'm not going to start shit back there. It's like, right. Okay, you get a pass, but realize you're a fucking scumbag. So I hope you watch this.
So, all right. I just realized we have just been telling war stories for the last almost 50 minutes, but let's talk about let's talk about what this podcast is partially about. And it's, you've seen, I know this is hard for a lot of people to talk about, but if you don't talk about it, people aren't going to understand it. What have you seen in our industry as far as road crew goes? The mental health challenges. I mean, I know you've been retired for a long time, but you can remember back in.
I haven't toured in a long time. I've been out for 5 years now due to injuries, and
right.
Luckily, I had a corporate gig, and I had disability, and I was able to do that. And a big shout out to Sandy Espinoza, who has helped a lot of people out. I was conversing with her online during the pandemic, and she said, "Hey, you can put in for disability." Well, great. All right. So financially, thank God, I'm set. Having no wife and ex-wives or kids,
Yeah, Sandy helped me out tremendously, and still to this day works with me to help other crew guys.
And I don't recall we ever crossed paths in the real world, but she's amazing. And
we have, and she's awesome, and she helps a lot of crew guys. But what have you seen as far as issues? I mean, in coping mechanisms?
Well, coping mechanisms are the ones that usually takes most of us out is drugs and alcohol for the,
Yep.
still for the most part, combined with sleep deprivation, incredible amounts of stress, and, just life on the road in general. Like I often say, I don't know how you guys have done it all these years. I bowed out in the van tour days.
Yeah.
I've seen a bus on 2 European tours in my life with Manowar. Riot was, fly to Japan and, whatever. Oh, then I did one pickup gig for a buddy of mine with a band from Australia, great band, The Living End. And we did Boston, New York, Letterman, Conan, and that was on a bus. But yeah, I didn't have that big, Silver Eagle to Prevost, touring cycle. But,
Right.
It's still the same. You're still working ridiculous hours. When you get home, it takes 2 hours to wind down. And, then you got to be back up. And, for me, sometimes it was a 9 o'clock call just to do fucking office work and stuff.
Right.
And advance shows. So,
Well, what did you,
it takes you time.
what did you see as the symptoms, or what did you see, okay. So just to give you, for instance, me,
Yeah.
and I've said it before on podcasts, people suffer from depression.
Sure.
And I've learned through my therapist that I deal with depression, and I have learned my triggers to be able to come out of it faster. Where there are people who are dependent on medication, who are in a constant state of depression. Now, as far as road crew goes, I think a lot of guys, they get depressed, and it's depressed for many reasons. They miss home, they miss a
Sure.
regular routine, they miss their kids, their wives, their dogs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what did you see? And back then it was more, what would be the word? It's more noticeable, I guess. People have become good at hiding things. What did you notice from road crew guys, aside from self-medicating or self-drinking? What did you notice from them as far as how they were dealing with certain issues, stress, anxiety, depression, whatever?
No, I mean, just the usual general irritability and, being short tempered and, losing sight of the goal at hand, getting distracted. I'm totally fucking ADD, but back in our day, they didn't call it that or give you cute little pills for
No.
it. You ran around like a maniac, So the reason I have, my workspace at work, I had a couple of areas around a whole giant casino, but it was like only I knew, it was my chaotic thinking. I knew where shit was. So,
Right.
then screw it. But I mean, my personal dealing with like the depression side of it, you just don't think about it. You push it aside. And then, but when I finally, was forced into retirement, I didn't know my last day was going to be my last day. I went out for some foot surgery, figure I'll be back in 6 weeks, and didn't heal right. And all of a sudden it turns into pandemic and, time to call it a day. But, you think that would give you some sense of freedom, if you're lucky enough to be at least financially stable, it didn't, I lost my whole career, unceremoniously. I didn't make it to retirement in a gold watch. It was just like, okay, well, you're done. You physically can't do it anymore. And I knew that was coming. That's why I waited for the surgery I had, was because, I couldn't make it to loadout. Now you've been to Foxwoods, you've been to my place. It was the easiest room to work in. Loading dock, push to the stage, on stage, boom.
Oh yeah. I love it
easy
there.
as shit. And it got to the point where I had, I ran the backline department there for 25 years, created it, ran it. And, on a show day where a band's doing a fly-in and it's all me, and I got the rental company with the rider, I got the house gear, I got to pull and, prep it the day before, I'm on deck all day. There's really no, that's why my name is like backline there, because that's just what they used to yell out. I was a department of one. So, hey, any issues on the stage, if I'm, trying to catch it, whatever, that's what they yell out and you come out for it. So you're always Johnny on the spot. But, realizing that was all gone, where does your purpose come from?
Right.
That was tough to find out. And I was lucky enough to have another mentor person. I don't, I won't mention his name, but same guy from my crew there, a local crew out of Hartford. And he was of the generation before us, and he admitted to going to like therapy and stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay, maybe that's what I need. So I started.
It's been the best
doing
thing
that
for me.
Yeah, no, it has definitely. I'm in a healthy relationship now that would not have happened without, a couple of years of therapy under my belt, because I didn't know how to deal with that. I never had one. That's why I say I know you're married, you got kids. How do you do that and leave and dogs and pets and come back? And, I always said I should have kept the road gig, being single, whatever. And someone with a family should have had the gig where you can drive to work 15 minutes away every day and, and have the shows come to you. But it didn't play out like that. So
yeah, I mean, that was like, as the kids were growing up, that was the hardest part. But at the same time, I don't know if the word or the phrase fits, but I'm not fit for a 9-to-5. I have a mouth.
That's all of us too. That's all.
I have a mouth. I tell people the reality of things, whether they like it or not. And I find ways to make it better. And it's like you were talking about the depression on the road, or the anxiety, but I do the same thing. I dive into work. Yeah. I'll just find stupid stuff to do all day. I'll build something out of nowhere. I'll fix something that didn't need to be fixed. Yeah. I'll change strings on a guitar that don't need to be changed because I'm just trying to disassociate from that problem that I'm dealing with in my head. And 90% of the problem, especially when the kids were growing up, was missing out on the little things. I was very fortunate to see a lot of the things, but I didn't get to see my daughter walk for the first time. Yeah. And sorry, my son. And I got to see my daughter walk for the first time because I was home. And I was very fortunate to make it home for both births. But at the same time, when you miss things or
how stressful is that? Have to make it home, what that takes,
But it's the other thing too that happens in our industry. And again, you might not have experienced it, but it's this. Like I work for a great organization now, 2 great organizations, Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Bon Jovi. Yeah. Both managements, both bands treat their crew amazing. They're always straight up. They're always honest. They make sure you're taken care of. You make sure you're fed, make sure you're healthy, make sure you're good. There have been bands in my career that say they do those things, but don't. And then they have managers, tour managers, and in a couple of cases, production managers who lead by fear.
Yeah.
And there was a period for me that I went through. I've got to put food on the table. I got to keep a roof on the head. I need to keep my mouth shut. Yeah. And what that did was it deteriorated me.
Fucks with your head, man.
It messes with your head. Sure. And it makes you feel less of who you are. It made me, I was not the person I was from Jersey. I was just a shell. Yeah. And then the pandemic hit. I had some medical issues right as the pandemic was hitting. And then in the middle of the pandemic, I almost lost my foot to diabetic cellulitis. And I talked to PJ, and he was kind of my deciding factor of getting a therapist. And best thing I ever did, because she brought me back to the person I was before all these people did that stuff to my brain. Yeah. Because it was always leading by fear and the phrase of like, well, there's 10 people behind you who want your job. Sure. Now I'm like, fine, fucking give it to them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
My resume.
You can't do that and earn a living, and especially when you got mouths to feed.
Right.
You
want to threaten me? Like
playing the game.
You want to threaten me with that? Go ahead. My resume, I can work anywhere. I don't care. Yeah. And it might be coming time for me, maybe in the next year or two, down here that I live by all the casinos, and I know some friends in the casinos. I might take a PM job at a casino.
Not a bad way to go, man.
I mean, I did the PM thing.
If you can deal with that level of corporate environment, because that's the one caveat. It's the one caveat I had. I said, you hired us as the crew guys, especially in the beginning, because we're a bunch of outlaws. You have a workforce that will work 24 hours a day, ridiculous amounts of hours. But then when we, give into our nature and act like outlaws in a few little areas, you get all pissed off and start to go human resources. It's like, we don't know what that shit is, but hey, it's riding the wave. And there was times, MGM took over the name of Foxwoods. They branded it. It was supposed to be just a branding thing because they're not allowed to own, casinos or, whatever, Indian casinos, whatever it was. But all of a sudden we had to shave our beards. Couldn't have facial hairs. Yeah. All right. Well, couldn't have facial hair, couldn't have, visible tattoos, even though all the advertising from their own MGM websites out of Vegas had people with beards and tattoos, whatever.
So they went Disney.
Oh, yeah. They went Disney fast for a place that was supposed to be just a name on the building. But I looked at my bank account, I looked at my paycheck, I looked in the mirror and said, "Give me the fucking razor."
Yeah.
Because at that time it wasn't going to happen. Some guys stood on high moral ground and said they're going to leave, and they ended up coming back at less pay, because it's the gig in the area.
Yeah.
Now me, I wasn't from here, and that's what I always told, people at Foxwoods. It's like, if this job ended, what would you be doing tomorrow? And I'm going to be a carpenter, I'll be a mechanic. I said, well, that's the difference. I'm going to go home, I'm going to get drunk, and I'm going to pick up the phone and start calling everybody I fucking know. And chances are I will have a job of some sort, by the end of the week.
100%.
But will it be the same? Will it replace that income? And then no, but I will do it because that's what I do. I don't do anything else. And I was working with a bunch of people where some of them came because they, built a casino in their neighborhood, and they knew the guy that played in the band who became, blah, blah, blah. But it's nice to work when I was back in the day, especially the Ritz crew. I go back because that was the biggest club in New York.
Yep.
And the best shows, and we we had juice everywhere. We can go to any club, any door. We were always in. It was the last time anybody the likes of us was going to.
Hell, if I saw Ritz or the Limelight or the Cat Club on my itinerary, I was like, I can't wait to get there.
And when I saw CBGBs, I'm like, well, I'm going to need a little bit of combat pay, or you could not pay me enough to do CBs on a one-off.
No,
it's like it was too.
I loved it there.
Great vibe, but yeah,
I hated doing a show there.
Yeah, the step
over just to fit it on the stage. Shit. Yeah, just to fit it on a stage, and then if you had to pee, God forbid you had to walk in that bathroom. Oh my God.
Well, anyway, a pile of Hilly's dog shit on the load in was always good,
Yeah, right through the front door. So let's talk about the tough one. You and I. Well, first off, let's look at this crotchety old bastard who I love dearly, Mr. Glenn Kaufman.
Yes,
we have known each other well over 30 years. He's going through some hard times right now. Like all crew guys, we don't have insurance, we don't have any of that stuff. He's going through some hard times right now. He's having to rehome his dog, which I feel bad for. I mean,
that one hurt the most. I mean,
I don't wish that on anybody, but I know
how much he loves them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He loves those dogs more than anything. And he's doing the right thing. I mean, he's in a boot. He lost another toe, but that's part of our, it's part of life in general. But I think health issues, because I went through them because of poor lifestyle choices, whether it was the mass amounts of drinking I did back in the day. Thank God I've been sober since 94. With a couple fall off the wagons, but you eat like shit on the road. There's nothing normal. So you have to change. So those effects of how you did things, they come back to haunt you. And with that being said, the effects of things we've done, we've lost friends. And it's literally too many to list. We've already seen 2 in the photos. How have you seen other people deal with the loss of people you would never think? Like T-Boy and Viggy, never saw that coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an inkling because we all just did bad shit.
Yeah.
But how do you handle that? Knowing those are our friends, we grew up together, and they were younger than us.
In some cases, that's just it, But I look at it as a lot of people didn't let go. Like, I'm glad to hear, if you had a drinking problem, you addressed it and quit drinking. If you can't handle it, I always say to people, if you're looking at me to be the high watermark for health and that shit, you're fucked up, because
same here.
I'm holding this together by a fucking string. I just had a foot procedure the other day. I scheduled it on my way back home from Jersey. I visited mom, stopped by. Oh yeah, I get my fucking foot, sliced and whatever. So it's the injuries are one thing, the mental side of it, but I deal with it. I had a bottle of Motorhead whiskey that I bought back from Amsterdam. I couldn't get the whiskey back, but I had my brother send me the bottle. But I filled that up with some good stuff, and that's only I would take a shot. I'm a pothead. Everybody knows I'm a pothead, and thank God it's legal everywhere now. But I don't drink that much. I can certainly drink fucking anybody under the table just due to my size and stamina, but I choose not to. There you go. Snoop's hope he finds his way again. But
Yeah.
you know, I have a shot out of that bottle anytime someone passes.
Right.
Right. I've had to refill that bottle 3 times in the last couple of years, man.
Dude, it blows. It blows.
Yeah. The number,
I mean, listen,
you know,
there's no spoiler here. Let me be real clear on this following statement. And I will die by this statement. My therapist said to me, she goes, from the moment you are born, you start to die.
Yeah.
It's what you do in the middle that defines you for you and not anybody else.
Sure.
It's like, I love this quote and I keep it right here on a little sticky note. I can recite it any point in time, but I live by this quote and I didn't before therapy. And it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it's not the destination, it's the journey.
No,
because we all listen, the spoiler is we all know the fucking the destination. We're going to die. Yeah. We are not Walt Disney and are not going to get frozen in carbonite. All right.
Aww.
Or Han Solo. I got that so wrong. But the reality is you're going to die. Yeah. And so many people spend their lives, and unfortunately now it's going to get worse, but they spend their lives doing nothing but working and not taking that time to enjoy. Even an hour. Yeah. I can look out my office window right now and I can see the beach.
Yeah.
A place I never thought I'd live. Never thought I'd live on the Gulf of Mexico any day of the year.
I never thought I'd live in Connecticut, let alone fucking you living in the South. I mean, for God's sake.
I know, but I love it.
Jersey is a long shot.
1 hour, you go for a walk.
Yeah.
I can get on my little scooter, my little electric scooter, and go down to the beach.
Nice.
But people spend so much of their lives working, and this goes to the friends we've lost. We have spent so much time touring and chasing that gig after gig after gig after gig. I get calls at least once every 2 weeks, maybe twice every 2 weeks, from guys going, hey, if you hear anything, let me know. Motherfucker, weren't you just on a tour for the last 6 months? Did you not save a dime? Do you not have an emergency fund? Because I do.
I hate to bring that shit up, but that is part of it. You know, it's like, first off, the industry sucks. Why at this point aren't companies required to provide insurance, at least temporary side? Or you know, there's got to be some way to make that happen. You know, all we do is bring fucking happiness to people, put on shows, bust our fucking ass, are shells of human beings at the end of the day, physically and mentally, and you can't even cover us.
No,
you know,
and they won't, because it's money out of their profits. Yeah, I learned that. I learned that from a couple of people. It's like,
yeah, of course, but that's it. That's every, you know, these days, I guess, with no record sales and all that shit, I guess it's harder to come up with the money. But, you know, I was lucky enough to go, you know, I had a friend at the venue. I don't get that much juice anymore. I got nothing to trade. I know how hard it is. Anytime I want to see somebody, a friend that's on tour, I'll see him on a day off.
Right.
I can't get you tickets to the show. I was like, dude, I know that.
That's those days. Comps are gone.
I've done 10,000 shows in my life. I really don't fucking need to see another one. I want to see you and hang out and go have dinner or something. So when
I know we have tried so many times, it just never works out. I'm never up there.
No, but that's just it. But you know, you make time or do whatever, and I have the freedom to travel, so I keep an eye on who's where. It's like, all right, if you're in a cool place and I see you might have a day off, I may pop up. You never know. But it's just, we went to go see, you know, Alice Cooper and Judas Priest. Lucky enough to get house comps. It was wonderful. But, you know, all right, so you go to buy a fucking beer. It's $20 a fucking beer.
Oh, it's stupid, dude.
I mean, I don't know how anybody is in business doing anything, raping the public like this, because they can.
Going back to what I was saying is, though, I get those calls for guys who I always see on Facebook or Instaface or whatever the hell it's called. And I see them always touring. And I sit and I asked one guy one day, dude, I just seen you on a tour for the last 6.5 months.
Yeah, you got to be making bank.
And you're telling me you're hurting for money? Yeah. What the hell are you doing with it?
Yeah, you know,
I mean, you're chasing. We spend our lives as road crew chasing And I was equally as guilty of it, and more so because I had a wife and kids, and the more
Sure.
money, the better things were. But you spend our careers chasing gig after gig after gig after gig. Now I'm fucking selective, and I'm
Well,
okay
I
with
mean, you're
that.
lucky to be in a position you can be, and I get it that not everybody's in the same position at all. But I mean, that's that's another. I'm happy. I was, thank God for Brian Taylor picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, there's gigs in Connecticut." We called, but that's also it. You have to break the mold sometime.
Yeah.
Like when the Ritz shut down, they filled up the casinos with people from Atlantic City, and Brian had worked down there, so he kind of knew the people that started the entertainment crew. And he's
Right.
like, "Yeah, I got some people that are good and they're out of work, but and we called a lot of people that just left our crew and we're doing nothing." But they're still living in the same third floor walk up from 40 years ago because it's rent controlled or whatever.
Exactly.
They don't want to leave. And I get that too, but it's like then you're still hustling gigs at our age or older. And
Yeah.
that's, you deserve better. Good people deserve better, but situations are what they are. You
Yeah.
can take
And
the
it's
moves or you can't.
a lot of guys due to health, such as yourself, Glenn
Yeah.
Kaufman, and a few others I know, can't tour anymore because it's not conducive. I'm not far friggin' behind. This body
Yeah.
is beat to crap. I don't care what
Well,
anybody says. Just because I'm 56, I've been touring since I was like
yeah.
16, 17. So we're going on 40 years, and I'm just no, my body is telling me. I see it every day. I feel it. I get out of my recliner, and my wife's like, "What the hell was that sound?" I'm like, "Oh, that was me," you know.
Well, I
But
mean, I hope everybody's getting paid on W-2s and is putting in for Social Security and stuff because that's the only thing that saved my ass. Is I had enough points and to put in for it, and that's why Sandy Espinosa came into play. She's like, well, why don't you put in for disability? I'm like, you could do that.
oh yeah,
I mean, I didn't.
guys don't take the time to learn.
I had no clue, and I got to tell you, it's pretty much only because of the pandemic. And you talk about bringing it back into depression. Okay, when you get to the end stage of getting approval for Social Security, they want to do a mental evaluation
Mm-hmm.
and a physical evaluation. This was during the pandemic, so we did the mental evaluation over the phone. And we're doing it. Okay, and blah blah blah. Answer this question. Typical psych evaluation stuff. And I was surprised she said anything at the end. She's like, "Well, you suffer from severe depression." I'm like, "Let's see. Everybody I've known since high school is out of work. I'm wounded, look like I'm not going back. So my 35 career is ending. It's been my whole life, my whole existence, my whole being. And dealing with that. It's like, yeah, I'd say severe depression is a good, a pretty apt thing." But then I go, okay, well, what about the physical part? And they're like, they must have looked at my chart and seen that things weren't healing correctly. And she's like, yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck? So to me, I hit the shitty lottery.
Yeah.
It's like being able to bow out somewhat gracefully and be able to, keep a roof over my head because, I
But
didn't have a family to provide for.
the
So it's
reality
different.
is there's not a lot of road crew who are doing that. And the reason they're
No,
not is
that's
because
and I have survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
I have survivor's guilt. Really, is what it is. It's like I wish my brothers and sisters could,
well,
could
the
find a
problem
way
they're
out.
not doing it. The reason and the problem why they're not doing it is because they don't choose to take the time to get informed. And
Yeah, exactly.
and unfortunately, it's not their fault. It is, and it isn't.
It's the system too.
It's the system has made it so convoluted and so ununderstandable
Sure.
that it just makes you go, all right, I'm done. I can't do this. And that sucks,
Yeah.
because a lot of guys need the help, but don't know how to get the help. And that's where organizations like Sandy Espinosa, who's helped a lot of crew guys, you, me,
Yeah.
many, Glenn, Music Health Alliance, Music Cares, and the
Sure.
list goes on. They've helped navigate. Like Music Health Alliance helps crew guys get medical insurance.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
They got me medical insurance, thank God, because just on my foot surgery alone was over 40 something thousand.
Sure.
And I couldn't pay it. So Music Health Alliance reached out to Music Cares and thank them. I can't thank them enough. They paid all my bills because I healed and then I'm stressing over the bill collectors. all in the middle of a
Yeah.
pandemic.
No, and that's everybody was at the
And
edge
they
to
were
begin with,
vicious.
and especially us. I mean, where are you going to get a couple of million stagehands around the world, to find ulterior work? I mean, I think you said, everybody else doing real estate and stuff, hoping to make that one hit on $1 million house. But,
Yeah.
There's every housefrau in the area is looking to do it too. So,
Well, that's just it. I was going to
much.
go. So what's funny is I was actually studying online, guilty,
Yeah,
to become a real estate agent.
no doubt.
And my ADHD did not allow me to do online schooling.
Yeah.
And then when I had the time to come up to take my test, I couldn't get in. So many people were trying to take their real estate license test, and they were only letting in, I think it was 10 people at a time, twice a week to take the test because of the pandemic.
Sure.
So the scheduling was like 8 months out. I'm like, I can't not make money for 8 months.
Yeah.
But guys, you're right. Millions of crew people, whether it be stagehand, lighting, sound, backline, whoever, had to pivot. And a lot of guys couldn't handle it. And during the pandemic,
you tell me I had to get a civilian job on no notice with no training. I'm fucked.
Yeah. 100%.
So and that's what I feel, and that's why I'll always, even though I always tell people they call up, they're nice enough to say, hey, are you available for this? I said, you know what, I'll do what I can do, but that's kind of limited.
Right.
I'll help anybody out, especially if it's a charity or something. I'll lend a hand and be there and do what I can, but you can't. Unfortunately, I'm just not physically able to do what I used to do. And as as someone that's proud of my career, I won't put myself out there if I can't, be me.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I have physical limitations now.
Yeah.
I'm still physically able to do a job, but I got to get that stagehand to lift this for me or to carry this for me. I can't anymore.
Yeah.
And that from a Jersey Italian Irish guy,
yeah, don't do good. I know.
It's not a proud moment. It's not a proud moment to go, hey, 20-year-old, can you help me?
Well, I mean, listen, that's when I knew it was time. I started the story before. It's like, I had a very easy setup at a casino, and there was, we finished a show where I'm on deck for 16 hours and I'm prepping everything. And I just ran out of steps, from the push from the stage to the truck. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm barely going to make it to the parking lot at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like, if you can't see the doors close on the truck, then you got to rethink everything. But
exactly.
How many people actually get, when you think about all the guys we lost, how many people have planned a retirement from this business? I can't think of it.
I don't know anybody.
They either fucking tap out on stage or they fucking, get injured out, but no one has willingly given up the fucking ghost around here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful every day I wake up, because at least I wake up knowing some of my friends have not had that opportunity. And I don't take the day for granted anymore, where I used to just take the day for granted. I enjoy waking up and hanging with my dogs, hanging with my wife,
Sure.
working in my garage on some gear and prepping for, going out to TSO. Or this is what brings me joy now, is doing this, because I get to talk to friends. If this thing goes somewhere, awesome. If it doesn't,
you're doing it for yourself,
Well, no, I'm
for help. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to help, and I don't know any other way, but I'm tired of people always feeding us or anybody a spoonful of scripted bullshit.
Yeah.
Life is
Get
not
off the script and be real, man. Yeah.
I've lived a real life. I have done things that people can only imagine. I have seen places. I've been paid to see places people can only dream.
There you go. We're living the fucking dream, right?
I mean, I have stood on the beach in Ecuador and marveled at the mountains. I have seen the Mayan pyramids. I have seen Mount Fuji. I mean, the list goes on. And I was paid to do that. And before I wasn't grateful. Now I'm grateful.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, I haven't toured much this year. We did a bunch of rehearsals. We did stuff, which is great, which was good for my body to heal. But I'm actually stoked to go out and do five days straight, 2 shows a day with TSO, because it gets your blood pumping again.
Yeah, I miss it, man. I miss
and
that
it's
part of it.
Yeah, I miss, and for me, I don't know. And we'll kind of wrap this up here around this thing, because this is what brings me joy. And I'll ask, God,
What do you mean funny? Funny how?
anyway.
Pick another.
So what brings me joy, and people always ask me, well, what, man, you're older. What's in this for you? Well, one, it's the money. Let me be clear. I'm here for a paycheck.
We're whores. We're fucking whores, and that's
I am a whore. I'm for sale to the highest bidder. But at the end of the day, watching what we do all day come to fruition, and that show going off, and everything falling into place, the pyro, the lifts, the guitars, the drums, everything working, and then looking out. And this is where my joy comes from, because it's what keeps me doing what I'm doing. Watching the fans have an unbelievable time and smiling and dancing, and the kids they bring with them smiling and watching an amazing wonderment.
Yeah, man.
I was with Rob Thomas for years. I love the guy. I love his wife, Marisol. They're great people. Rob always said something every night that stuck with me. And I think I spent 18 years with him. And he always said, we are the house band for your good time.
Yeah.
Well, we are the road crew for your good time.
Exactly.
And he would go on to say, you spend a lot of money. You buy a ticket. You pay for parking. You probably pay for a sitter. You pay for dinner. And this was in a time where the economy wasn't good. And he goes, you spend a couple $100 to come see my show in the time where money is bad, where our country is in disarray, where we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. But you take that time, we're here to give you the best show of your life. Yeah. And to watch parents bring their children to a TSO show, or something that blew me away back in 2022, coming out of the pandemic, we did the Bon Jovi tour. And I have never in my career heard what I heard ever. But I heard the audience singing Living on a Prayer over my flipping ear monitors.
Yeah, right.
Which has got John, the bass, guitars, loud, because I'm deaf as a friggin' son of a bitch. I heard them over my ear monitors. I took my ear monitors out and the sound was deafening.
Yeah.
Like over the cymbals on Tico's drums, you can hear the people. And that, man, I get it now. Just goosebumps.
Yeah. Listen, we're part of some amazing moments that people, remember for the rest of their lives, and we're remembering it for a whole different reason.
Right. But to see that we were a part. Now the band is the band. They're there to do their part. We're there to do our part to facilitate them to not have to worry.
Yeah.
So knowing that we put all that up in the air, we made all the things go boom. We made this move. To see it go off without a hitch to this day still brings me joy at 56 years old.
And that's why you're still there.
But that leads me to my outro question here is, was that the same for you, or was there more?
No, I mean, it was, because again, you started out also as a musician.
True.
I realized very early on that I had no musical talent. My talent is that musicians are fucking lazy, and they don't want to lift their own shit.
Nope.
And I tell everybody that I can to watch. I love documentaries, especially. I got all this free time on my hands now.
Oh yeah.
But watch Shep Gordon, who was Alice Cooper's manager.
Yes.
He's got a documentary done by Michael Myers called Supermensch.
Yes, I love that. That is one of my favorite ones to watch.
The best. And first off, what an amazing story. I mean, talk about stepping in shit. I thought my career was stepping in shit, but I only, hit the first fucking rung. This guy took it all the way to the top.
Oh, yeah.
But just a great human being, the right attitude. And one of the things besides, what was it? The rules of being a manager. It's like, always remember to get the money. Always remember to never forget to get the money. It goes on like that. And that's the one. But the other one is like, always be of service.
Yes.
You don't want to be the guy causing a problem for the production. You want to be the one to solve it, or just to do your fucking job. Stay in your lane and give everybody the room to do their job. And that, to see, but those moments where the crowd is going, I remember like Japan, first off, kid from Jersey, who the fuck's ever think I'm going to go to Japan,
right?
let alone, You've done it dozens of times. I made it 4 times on my music
What
career,
what
so
kid
I was happy
imagines
with
playing the
that.
Budokan for 10 nights?
Yeah,
Never in
one of
my
the great,
wildest dreams. That wasn't
one
on
of
my
the
list.
I mean, Madison Square Garden and, Hammersmith Odeon, back when it was the Hammersmith.
Yep.
These legendary venues we heard about from the magazines and shit when we were kids. Okay, I'm working there. Damn, I lost that. Chicken fight. But yeah, that satisfaction is there, that, like you say, everybody's spending all this fucking money. We have a job to put it on stage. So, and that goes back to, like I asked, brought up to my therapist one time, was that, pandemic or whatever. I look back at a list of people, and I keep a running list there of people that have passed away. And I
Yep.
look down that list. It's not filled with family members that are older. It's not filled with people from high school. It's not filled with, other civilians. It's 90% fucking road crew guys that have gone before us. So
I
you
keep the same
get
running
survivor's
list.
guilt.
I keep the
Yeah.
same running list.
I keep,
And like we spoke about earlier before we started the podcast, I still can't delete their numbers out of my phone.
nope.
I can't.
Always going to be there. Always
I
going to
can't.
be there.
I've caught myself going to text somebody and went,
Yep.
fuck.
Yeah. You wake up and you want to share it with your brother, and that's why I hate the fact that everybody like you doesn't like to fucking pick up the phone or do whatever. This is the longest conversation we've had in fucking 30 years, but
Dude,
okay.
I have bad anxiety on the phone. I spend so much time on the phone advancing shows.
I get it.
And it's like when you're advancing a tour, I'm sitting at this desk for 10 hours a day. And the last thing I want to do after I'm done is talk on the phone. It's like
I can dig it, but I just lament the loss of that connection with
and we'll try to do. I am trying now that I'm semi-retired. I am trying to get better at that. I have admittedly been horrible with it. I don't like talking to non-roadies.
Well, yeah, civilians. No, I don't have much use for them, but
civilians annoy the shit out of me.
Pretty much.
Well, non-roadies, and it's like we talked about Dan Davis earlier. He's been trying to get me to work with him with Exotica for a while. I think I'm going to do it.
I offered to go volunteer. I'm going to hopefully get to go see him. But yeah, I mean, Dan is my hero.
I love Dan. I know he got into the one business we love.
He got them all. He hit the fucking hat trick. He made it into the music business. Had a good career going there. Okay, record company stuff. I forget what else he was doing, but okay. And he helped start Studio One. So there you go. So he had a good run in the music business. Then he goes to the fucking porn business, promoting it and all that stuff. And now he's even doing the cannabis convention in Jersey. So I mean, come on now. I mean, what are you gonna do? What do you add to that to make it a full?
I know. So it's like,
so he's my hero. I'm so proud of him. And I want to say, as we get to the end of this, I'm fucking proud of you, man.
Oh,
because
thanks, brother.
we did lose touch of each other for years, and I know what you're doing, this and that, or saw you I forget even who you were with. Maybe it was Styx or somebody when you were at Foxwoods. But I had no idea all these bands that have been watching the podcast. So you've been that's a fucking hell of a run, dude.
Thank you.
So
well, I've kept. I know a lot of, and I'm not dogging them. Let me be clear. I know a lot of road crew guys who are in this for the names on the resume. I'm in it for the paycheck. Yeah. You get the same 125% out of me, no matter who you are. But I've never been one to sit here and be the hog of like, oh, I worked for so-and-so. Oh, I've worked. Yes, I'll drop a name because that's who I'm currently with. Yes, I've worked. Awesome. Yes, I've worked for so. But I don't like we were doing a show. I think it was last year on TSO, and one of the locals come up to me, nice guy, and he starts talking to me. I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Danny, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, I'm so-and-so. I work for this band. And I know the band. It's a big band. But he's also a local stagehand, which I used to do, but can no longer do anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's like, who else have you done? I'm like, and I tell him, and he's like, I never heard of you. I'm like, because I don't want to be heard of.
Yeah, we're behind the curtains, man. That's
production managers are the only ones I care if they hear about me.
Yeah.
With Bon Jovi, Matt, John's brother, who's his tour manager, hired me. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
So some managers, not all, let me be clear, I want them to know me. So I don't care if other people know me. If I haven't toured with you, then you don't know me. And that's fine because I done touring, I go home and be me.
Yeah.
I go home and just be me and you know, write 3 children's books and and all this stuff, which by the way, will be being published January-ish, February-ish. I'm probably going to self-publish, but
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Do anything yourself these days. Why not?
Children's books out of all of us.
I will read that very, very.
It's about my dogs. It's all I know. But thank you for being proud of me.
Dogs and musicians you can write about and, you know, interchange.
No, when I leave that life, I've decided, I made the decision, just that life is the past and moving forward is my future.
If you're only working with friends and organizations that you love, then you're there. I wish I can, you know, I tell anybody I worked with in the past, because they all become sort of family. It's like, you know, I don't know what I can do anymore, but anything I can be of service. I got the fucking time. I got a van. Let's go. You know?
Yep, exactly. So with that being said, old friend, we will end this now, because this is now officially my longest podcast and my most fun one. They're all fun.
Thank you, man.
But talking to old friends, man, that's just for me. Because here's the thing, I'll say this real quick. You made a comment. You know, this is the longest conversation we've had in 30 years. Blah 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 blah. But the funniest thing is, when I was married to my ex-wife, I didn't talk to PJ and Chris Farinas, for a very long time, because I wasn't allowed to. Let's just go there.
Oh, no.
Getting ready to go through the divorce, I picked up the phone. Who's the first person I call? PJ.
Yeah, there you go.
And it is literally like not a minute passed. There was no apologies needed. There's no apologies needed. We pick up with stupid stories. Like I remember you smashing in the box truck, smashing out some guy's side mirror when we're driving down the street with Law and Order gear. Oh yeah, I remember, because I was like,
statute of limitations is out, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So there wasn't cameras around everywhere. You could do shit like that. Now you get fucking pinched.
I know.
Bastards. I couldn't do it now. I couldn't do it. Fucking cameras everywhere in the fucking world watching everything you're doing. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I got to get a Pesci pinched one. But it's like no time ever passes, because that's what, to me, is real friendship.
Yeah, man.
So with that being said,
the last 30 years together, but
with that being said, my brother, I love you dearly. Thank you so beyond much for being on this.
Much success with this. It's needed. You know, mental health. Go get fucking therapy, you bastards. Figure out a way. They got free shit. They got tele shit. Just don't.
Yeah,
suffer.
I mean,
it's not necessary.
And as far as mental health goes, we're putting up on the website, there'll be a Roadie's resources page that will help direct you. I'm working on it right now with Jamie Thien and Ryan Smith. We're putting together the resources, as many as we can, to put up on the site, so people can go there and reach out to these organizations. They will give you advice. They will direct you in the ways that you need to go. Like I said, Music Health Alliance will help you get health insurance. Although we don't know the state of that as of right now. So the reality is, there are organizations to help you. We are trying to put up a page with numerous amounts of links, with descriptions to help you decide which way to go.
Don't wait, everybody. Get it while you can, you know?
Yeah, well, exactly. So thank you very much, my brother. I love you dearly.
Love you,
I will reach out in a few days.
Kill.
What's that?
All right. I said,
what?
Hail and kill. Hail and kill.
Hail and kill.
Manowar. Yeah.
All right, brother. I love you dearly. We'll talk in a few days. Bye, buddy.
All right, be good.
Bye.
Bad in the bone. I broke 1,000 hearts before I met you.